This is Jani from Sainthood Reps.
This is Big Sherm from Sainthood Reps, and you're on Blunt US.
I have Jani and Derrick of Sainthood Reps right here on Blunt. It is Ned, Jani, Derrick. How you going, guys?
Doing great.
Never better.
Oh, I like to hear that right there. All right, well, you've got the brand new album coming out soon. It's after just talking to you for a couple of seconds, Dull Bliss. Like, to me, that's kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek title for an album. Can you tell us about it?
Well, initially it actually came because we had a song called Dull, and then we had a song called Bliss. They kind of ended up getting smushed together, but it kind of ended up really, I think, defining the way the record sounds, because there's these kind of moments that are sort of like plodding along or maybe very dark, but then there's like these very like uplifting parts that there's like this juxtaposition, I think, that happens throughout a bunch of the record. And I think actually it's like kind of present in, a lot of the classic shoegaze records also, where it's like these kind of sometimes discordant walls of sound that can kind of make you feel some sort of euphoria,
Yeah, no, I do 100% hear what you're saying there, and just getting to know you guys a little bit more. Like, you guys reconnected during COVID, is that right? So that's got to be some sort of Dull Bliss right there in itself.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Also, the concept behind the record is like, as a band in general, like sort of what Jani was saying. Our first record, we kind of went back to the overall idea of that record, which was having a whole bunch of mashup of sounds coming in, and it's like sort of disjointed in a way, but it really works like cohesively as one unit. That idea, Dull Bliss, in a moment, in a lifetime, in a day, in a record, just kind of really worked for us.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. And like, you were sort of talking about the shoegaze type of thing. And to me, it feels like shoegaze, post-hardcore, and like grunge all kind of mixed in together. And it seems to be having a real resurgence at the moment. Where do you think Dull Bliss fits into all of that, Derrick?
I'm always lost on like what our band really sounds like. To me, I might think it fits in with those things, and I'm not sure what the listener hears. I don't know what you feel, Jan.
Yeah, I think where our first record, I think we didn't realize that we were trying to do all of these different things and kind of mash them together. And this time we sort of consciously knew that we do all these things and then finding a way to mash them together. This is going to sound kind of stupid, but I feel like we're always like have done something a little bit right before things get like a genre explodes sort of thing. Like when monoculture first came out, there wasn't a ton of bands doing that 90s grunge kind of thing. I mean, this is in 2011.
Yeah.
And then there was like in 2015 or so, there was this like gigantic push of all these bands that were really influenced by the same bands that we were influenced by. I can't believe how big like the genre shoegaze is now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's funny because as the years go on, like the touch points for a lot of these bands might be the bands that we were touring with in 2011, whereas ours might have been, Jesus Lizard or My Bloody Valentine or something like that. There might be kids making that type of music that aren't as familiar with those bands and maybe more familiar with like a Whir or like a Nothing or, that set of bands.
Oh, that is super interesting. Yeah, maybe a lot of bands stole influence from you right there. Could be the case. So I was going to ask you guys, shoegaze or grunge? Derrick, where are you at with that?
Oof. The eighth grader in me says grunge, but the guy who wants to be cool says shoegaze. So yeah, I don't know.
I like that. What about you, Jani?
The time period that we grew up in, I mean, grunge music was so pivotal into like getting into heavy and alternative music. Whereas like, when I was 15, if I heard My Bloody Valentine, I'd probably not buy a record. or listening to like Ride or something like that. Like I would not have understood it when I was that age. And I think only through experiencing all these different types of music can you like actually appreciate what those kind of musicians were doing, you know, and especially around that time period.
Oh yeah, cool. So when you were growing up then, Jani, what was the first band you ever saw live?
The first show I ever went to actually live was a local show,
Cool.
which is strange, but I went to a punk show that was happening on Long Island. A lot of shows happen either at VFW halls or churches, you know, wherever the promoters could get a space. And so the first show I went to was in this church like event space. And it was a mixture of these hardcore bands and punk bands, and there's ska bands. You know, I was invited by a friend, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my listening and, you know, playing music. And, you know, since that point, I've been playing in bands and touring and doing all those things.
Doing it ever since. I love the idea too of having the punk and ska and hardcore bands playing at a church place. That's awesome. How about you, Derrick? What was the first band you got into, man, and saw live?
By default, it was through my mom. I was her plus one to see The Cure when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and had like a, you know, just an amazing experience with that. But then the first like show that I actively went to on my own, I think me and the boys went to see Primus, and I had my first mosh to Tommy the Cat. So that was pretty dope. Yeah.
Oh, that is sick. Primus, they're gnarly. I remember them from like Beavis and Butthead and whatnot. Very
yeah. I probably
actually
discovered them through MTV or something, and then, you know.
I actually didn't know that about Derrick, but it actually, I mean, it makes so much sense with his personality now. I understand. I feel like I know him deeper through this podcast now.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Me too. All right, man. So I want to talk a little bit about like comforts and things like that on the road. Like, what you spend a little bit of time on the road. Is there like anything that you have to do before a show?
Things that I have to do? No. I mean, I'll do some light stretching.
Bit of yoga.
I have to eat before a show, but it has to be like 3 hours before, so it doesn't like physically affect me, because there's nothing worse than eating a burrito like 30 minutes before you play. But usually I do a shot or two before I go to, because even though I've probably played like maybe hundreds of shows at this point, you still need something to take the edge off.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not condoning drinking for the listeners either. I just personally have a slight anxiety that is kind of squashed a little bit when I take the edge off.
Yeah, there you go. Derrick, how about you, man?
Pretty much the same. You know, you want to be feeling light and limber, well hydrated, loosened up, ready to go. I definitely like to have like just a moment of, you know, it's hard to find like a quiet space, but just like a decompression moment where it's not, you know, the kazooistry of the show happening or like a rowdy backstage. So I could find that like 2 minutes of like Zen or whatever, then that's spot on. But yeah, that's really it. You know, it's pretty simple. Just try to keep a straight head about it and go on and not be too nervous. Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. And well, we're talking about live shows and that kind of thing. Jani, you said you've played hundreds, which I guess that means you have too, Derrick. What's been like the wildest fan interaction that you guys have come across? Like, has it been anything just over the top or anything like that? Jani, we can kick things off with you, man.
So I play actually in a couple of different bands. And all the bands kind of have different touring experiences and ways of touring. Sainthood, I mean, we definitely played a lot of shows in front of just the bartender, which a lot of bands do. You know, you like roll up to like some town in North Carolina that you never heard of, and it's literally just the bartender and you're playing the show. But I play in this other band called Caspian, which is an instrumental band, and we've been lucky enough to do a couple tours in China. And usually that's where the weirdest things end up happening. Off the top of my head, I was at a show and somebody kind of gave me their baby and like had me take a photo with their baby. That was pretty strange.
That's awesome.
I played the show and now I'm a dad. Yeah.
The guarantee was a baby. So now that's my child now.
Yeah. Cool.
It's probably up on someone's wall right now, man. That's crazy.
Probably.
How about you, Derrick? Have you had anything wild like that? Like, even I think, like you're talking about, I love the honesty there too when you say about playing in front of just the bartender. Like you just go ahead on as normal.
Yeah. You just, it's like, if you're on a tour like that where there's little to zero people coming, as cliche as it is, like that 40 minutes of playing music becomes, your cathartic moment to let it all out for those few minutes, even if there's nobody in the room, because you're like, well, we just drove 200 miles. I hate the guy in the van next to me. I'm having a bad day.
Stop that, Jani.
But let's rock. Yeah. But my first band, one of my first tours I was on, we were in Mobile, Alabama. It's a small town to begin with. And we showed up to this probably like a third or fourth show from New York. And we were driving down to Florida, playing the show in Mobile. And there's nobody at any of these shows. We're just playing to the other band. And we get to this show, and there's like 300 kids wrapped around the building. Like, holy cow, Mobile, Alabama. Who knew this is going to be the day? Turns out there's a matinee happening while we were driving there to go load in that we didn't know about. So there was another show happening in the afternoon first, and it was Against All Authority. If you know that band, they're old punk band. Anyway, so they do the show, and just as you can imagine, all 300 kids clear out, and now it's just my band, the bartender, and his parrot. And the parrot knew how to say Bud Light, so that was pretty cool. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Two amazing stories. Did you get a photo with the parrot though, Derrick?
No photos allowed. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, is there something that you both can live without? We'll kick things off with you, Jani. Like, is there something that you just can't live without, man? Like when you're on tour?
Just can't live without. Well, I think that it's kind of changed. I mean, when we first started touring, the adversity and like the challenges that you have to deal with on a day-to-day are very different than me going on tour now. Now I kind of need to have a place before the show that I can sit and like not be in the crowd and, have a bathroom or whatever I need to do, and to keep my stuff and to like feel like relaxed before I play, which when we first started touring, I mean, I remember you sit in the van because there's no place to be inside the venue, and a good night's sleep is very necessary now as we get older. And before, I mean, man, Sainthood, we've slept on crazy people's floors. We slept in the van in a parking lot. I mean, we really hit some pretty wild bases. And so like that quiet space to yourself before a show and a good night's sleep is kind of, I need that now.
Priceless. Yeah. How about you, Derrick?
There's one overarching answer that is the correct answer and the only answer. It's coffee. Coffee.
Yeah, coffee.
If there was a coffeeless tour, I would probably just throw myself out of the van.
Definitely need caffeine, and we are talking tour and that sort of thing. So I wanted to know, what's a dream lineup for you? Like, who would you guys love to? What's your dream lineup for Sainthood reps? Kick things off with you, Jani.
It's really hard because the bands that I would be in my dream lineup, I actually probably wouldn't want to play with because they would absolutely smoke us off the stage. So ideally, it's bands that are slightly not as good as us.
Derrick, I'm sure in your case we've got Primus.
Yeah, like it'd be sick to open for Primus. I love them. But like, first of all, when you play shows like this, nobody cares about the band that's playing before Primus.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Nobody's paying attention to you. You're kind of just background music for them getting beer and like talking with their friends. There's a million. I would love to play with Deftones, but like I know that if you showed up and you were playing right before Deftones, there's not a single person in that arena that's going to care what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. I would like to see that Primus, Deftones, and Sainthood reps. There you go. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
It would be sick, but we'd get absolutely smoked by both of them. And for my ego, I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
you'd be wasted every night just trying to get in the right headspace for that.
Derrick, are you with him there? Like, do you agree on that sentiment or what? Because like I've discovered a lot of bands through going to shows and checking out the openers, but I definitely hear what you're saying, Jani. But what are your thoughts, Derrick?
Yeah, it's if the band has achieved some sort of cult status and they've been around for 20 plus years, I tend to agree that none of those fans are probably looking to check out new music. You kind of have to catch the bands that are on the rise, haven't peaked or haven't, had like 3 legendary records, over the past 20 years come out. If you were able to open up for Oasis, there's probably little to no return on that. Like everyone's gonna be drinking in the parking lot, filing in the stadium, and kind of mad that you're there interrupting their night with Oasis. So you do have to find like the sweet spot of bands, even on an imaginary level that would work.
Well, that brings. Here's just a quick story for you. Like a buddy of mine went to see Green Day, right? Being massive, but here in Australia, for some reason, they partnered them up with AFI, and apparently, when AFI played, no one. Just like you're talking about, it was like, yeah, no one was into it at all, and like they're one of my bucket list bands, and then when just the wrong partnership there, I guess.
What's crazy about that actually is that those two bands kind of came up together. Like
exactly,
they know each other really well from California, so it's actually an incredible pairing if you're like remotely interested in the genre. But again, once you reach a certain level and status, people kind of are just like, cool, I'm here for the Green Day show. Nothing else really matters.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said it was. He said like they were amazing, but yeah, no one was really paying attention, which I thought sucked. Like I was going to go just for them, but like there you go. But we are here to talk about Dull Bliss, fellas. What's one song off the record that you're really looking forward to playing live?
If we could get it together, I'd really like to play the song "Is It Safe." It was a song that we went into the record with a pretty concise idea. We felt really good about it. Arguably, collectively, we thought the song was pretty much perfect as is, which, isn't always the case when we enter the studio. We have some question marks, or maybe it needs a bridge or something, but we thought the structure was there, the melodies were there, everything just seemed to gel and be there. And then when we showed it to the producer, he flipped it on our heads and like totally dissected the song, rearranged it to the point where we were, as a band, unsure if we even liked the song anymore. And only with some time away from it, like months after, then we realized we loved it. That song like presented like so many challenges and like so many unique hurdles in its own way. It would be like, it's going to be fun to like essentially play this song that was like truly only like captured in a moment and not something that we like, had been rehearsing for months or had like in the bucket for a long time. So that's going to be like a true, like, quote unquote new one for us to play. So that would be fun.
Oh, is that where you're sitting with it as well, Jani?
I have the same answer. But on my end, I was fully convinced of the song. Like as soon as we workshopped it with the producer and like kind of got it down, I was like, this is the song of the record.
That's because you have the best bass line in the song. Of course you liked it right away.
It's also an iconic bass line, if I do say so myself. And,
yeah. Watch out, Les Claypool.
Yeah.
Yeah, move over less. Yeah, that's funny.
Check out these 3 notes. Yeah.
Man, that Primus tour needs to happen. Before I let you go, I really want to thank you guys for taking time out. I want to know, life outside of music for you, Jani, you seem like a funny, laid back type of dude. What's something you get into outside of music?
Well, I am a part owner of a bar
nice.
in New York. So that takes up some time. And I also have a pretty serious visual arts practice as well. I went back to school actually in the past couple of years, and I just graduated from a Master's of Fine Art program. It was extremely challenging, and then adding to it adding to it Dull Bliss being recorded and written during that time period. Very stressful but rewarding time period for me. And so I graduated in May. Dull Bliss comes out in September. So, it's a couple of years of work has been culminating this year.
Yeah, nice work on that. Going back to study is so hard, so I really take my hat off to you on that. That is amazing right there. How about you, Derrick? Life outside of music for you, man?
Well, I've never went to college or nothing, so
Me either.
I always just rocked. But yeah, now I own a natural wine store that like a retail store. I opened
Nice.
that up last year, and I own a craft beer store as well. And so kind of expanded with the wine. That is also coincidentally my outside time is drinking.
I was going to say, that's basically you have always rocked, Derrick. There you go. The album comes out September 26th via Smartpunk. It is called Dull Bliss. It's a good one. And you've got a October 10 release show as well coming up in Brooklyn. Is there any more shows coming up that people can look out for?
Yeah, we're playing the Fest in Florida in October, and we're waiting for any of the bands that like us to ask us to come to Australia. Whenever they're ready, we're ready. Jani's actually going to be there. When are you going over?
Yeah, I'm actually playing in Australia the first weekend of December.
Oh,
yeah.
Who are you playing with there?
That instrumental band Caspian that I play in.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah, awesome.
We'll be in Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney the first weekend of December.
Yeah.
And hats off to you, man, for getting Brisbane right, because most of the Americans call it Brisbane. So, yeah.
That's right.
Uncultured swine.
Yeah, you are. You're very cultured. Yeah. Well, very much appreciate you lads taking time out. It's been a bunch of fun to get to know you. And I feel you being a little bit harsh on yourself because this album is absolutely amazing. That's one of the perks of getting to hear it early. So, yeah, Dull Bliss heading out via Smartpunk Records September 26th. Pre-order now and hit these guys up at Sainthood Reps. Derrick, Jani, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Great to talk to you.